Okay, so moving on now, we're going to try and prove the concept a little bit further by adding in another series of movie clips which will represent the pieces we were going to move on to the board, and then do some hit testing, collision detection, to see if pieces collide with the pieces that we need them to. Okay, so in order to achieve that, we are going to need to duplicate all the clips first, change their instance names so that they've got different instance names. You can't have the same instance name more than once, otherwise you get problems. Oops, just undo that a step. Yeah. Copy and then paste anywhere there, which means drag them over to the side. To make them a bit more distinct to start off with, I'm just going to give them a tint. We'll change this at a later point, but I'll just give them a red tint so that they are distinctive for now. Then each one of them, I'm going to replace the instance name from P1 to A all the way through. And all we'll be looking for in this is if we can get them roughly colliding with their corresponding number, and if we can get them to figure out that they know what that number is. So we'll be repurposing some of our code a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll have two arrays now. We can just copy and paste it, and then in the same way that we've copy and pasted our clips, this is now going to be called target clips, and the clips array I'm going to change all to A to represent the clips we're going to move. After that point, we will just save this file and test it to see the red pieces moving, not the grey ones. File save, and then Control and Enter test. So I'm just going to click on that one and see that moves. This moves, so they all move in a similar way. There we go. And the next thing we need to do is also then set a property and assign it to each one of those clips, so we can check when we let go of them that they're matching, the position is supposed to be matching. So TGT can just stand for target. We can't use the actual word target because it's a reserved keyword, which means it's special and we're not allowed to touch it. So equals, and then what we'll be doing is going for target clips I. So that will give us the corresponding clip name, which we will then use in the release clip function. So to start off with, we'll just trace that out. So e.target, as you remember, refers to the object that we've added the event listener to. So it refers to the thing that is listening or responding. In this case, a specific movie clip is listening for us to click on it, and once it has, it's listening for us to let go of it. In this case, e.target.tgt. Notice that target is used in here. This refers to the movie clip, and that's why we can't use it as an instance or a variable name because there'd be too many problems. Okay, so save that and test it. Conflicts, that was the word. Yeah, there'll be too many conflicts. So when I let go of this, it doesn't really matter where I let go of it, it tells me the corresponding piece name. So we know that that's going to work in principle. Now we've got it out, all we have to do is respond to it. So to start off with, when we let go of it, I'm going to have an if statement. So this is where you set a condition. If something happens, then something else, etc. So I'm just going to set that up. Before we get to that point, I'm going to need to make it possible to refer to that property TGT as an actual movie clip now. So it's just about passing information, manipulating it to make sure it works how we want it to. That's going to equal root, and then e.target .tgt will allow us to access that. So basically, by creating the variable _MC, this allows me to use it as a shorthand way of doing this. If _MC dot, we use a built-in function called hit test point, which allows us to do some slightly more complicated hit testing than another similar name hit test object. And what we're going to look for in there is e.target.x, which is its position in the x-axis, so it's horizontal position on the stage. e.target.y, which is its position in the y-axis, so in its vertical position. And then we set something known as shape flag as true. This just means we can work within the shape of the jigsaw piece, or complicated object, as it were. And then all we're going to do is trace out a hit, say hit when this has happened, so we can test it a little bit further. So I'll save that, Control Enter and test. So I'm going to test that it doesn't work at that point, and then move it over a little bit further. Let go. There we go. Okay. So the way this is working is the registration point for the red movie clip is in its center. Its center has to overlap the target movie clip, otherwise it won't hit. So if I just pull it off a little bit there, there's no hit getting outputted. But I'm going to approximate the center to be a little bit to the left and above from the mouse cursor. There we go, that's just fallen on there. I suppose we could make this a little bit more obvious. So what I'm going to do is go into each movie clip, or this one specifically, and I'm going to use the ink bottle tool, which is underneath the paint bucket tool. So I click, hold, ink bottle tool, select the colour, and then pop that on like so. I'm just going to put a little dot using the brush in the centre, and that can be a white dot. Oops. Do that. There's the white dot, so I go back out. And when we test it, we should see that. Yep, there's a little dot there. So now we've got a much better chance of figuring out where the registration point is for this testing. So it's outside, still outside, on the line. There we go. So it's now classed as a hit. On the corner, again, and then we can respond to this. So whenever we drop the piece, we would like to not only set it to be a hit, but allow it to snap in position. We can also respond further than that by returning it to its original position eventually. So what I'm going to do is say e.target.x is now going to equal _MC.x, so they're going to have the same position in the x and y axes should they collide under the rules of hit test point. Test that, so when we overlay it and it falls within, then it snaps to that point. And that's one of the basic fundamentals behind this game. So hopefully what we can do is we can transfer all of these over to snap in place. Now that wouldn't be a very difficult jigsaw, so obviously moving forwards what we would do is we would then mix up the pieces on one side. So we will address that in the next example, and also we will set original positions too. Okay, and that's where we'll end this one.